Oh, Kayleen says my microphone was off. I should have had my system has a new feature that tells me if my microphone is accidentally off and I didn't turn it on. Oh my God. Thanks to Kayleen. What would I do without Kayleen? Does anyone know? Oh my gosh. Kayleen, I owe you the biggest box of chocolates. You're the best. Let me start again. Welcome, low ego action heroes. It's office hours. It's March 9th. I didn't have my microphone on because sometimes I get feedback between my microphone and my TV. So I thought, because I work on a TV, I don't have a computer screen. And I thought, wouldn't it be smart to mute the microphone? And wouldn't you know, the system I use to broadcast to you just did an update. And one of the updates is a new feature where if you have no sound for more than a certain number of seconds, it warns you that your sound is off. And I didn't turn that on yet. The whole world is trying to save me from myself. And it's not working, is it? So before thanks, Kayleen. So, before we get into the questions, because it is office hours, Ask Me Anything, and I see an anonymous question coming in, and remember, you can ask them at deltacx.link, as well as in the chats. I am monitoring all the things as best as I can. I want to first talk about the squirrel in the room, which is Twitch. So, as I was saying back when my microphone was off, Twitch was fun. But thanks to all of you being low ego action heroes, some of you started complaining about it, which is totally justified. And I do want to hear these things. So I heard that the Twitch app was buggy. I heard that it was hard to use the chat if you're on an iPad. I heard that people were seeing a lot of ads at the beginning of the stream and sometime in the middle of the stream, interrupting what I'm saying to run ads. I absolutely do not want that. My number one goal is always, you'll be surprised to hear, good CX and good UX. And I will pay more if it means that. I will work harder if it means that. I want to make sure you all have the best user experience. That's why on YouTube, I've turned off all the ads. I could show you my YouTube account. I can turn on a whole bunch of ads. I can turn them on before videos, during videos, after videos. I have them all off. So to hear that Twitch was running videos at random times, muting our show, and I have no control over that, that wasn't cool. And so after some various feedback from various people, both in our Slack channel and some private messages, I just want to let everybody know that I will be phasing out Twitch. So we will continue to stream on YouTube, as we always have, and I'm so grateful for the over 1,600 subscribers we have on YouTube. So subscribe on YouTube, where we're Delta CX. And I'm going to phase out Twitch. I'll make the last Twitch broadcast next Monday because I had advertised on LinkedIn that the whole month of observational research stuff was going to start on Monday, and I had recommended that people follow on Twitch, and some people did. So I want to make sure that if people show up on Monday on Twitch, that they are told the rest of it's going to happen on YouTube. Hi, Destiny. Hi, Chang. Hi, everybody. Yep, Charlene says the end of that. It's really unfortunate. There were things I liked about Twitch, and I do look forward to following my favorite musician there. His name is Mike Mills, and he goes by Toehider. Toehider. If you want to hang out on Twitch, follow Toehider. He's wonderful, and he's doing a live concert every month. But as for me, CX and UX are just too important. So if you're getting crappy ads, if the app is buggy, if all this stuff isn't right, then we move on. And I already see many of you already back in YouTube, my favorite names. So Destiny, Shalene, Kayleen, Elijah showed up in Twitch, and so did Chang, and I hope we'll see you back on YouTube. And if you're on LinkedIn, I also hope to see you in YouTube because the delay is smaller. Now, we also said today we were going to run a test to see how long the delay is on YouTube. So before I get into my questions, won't everybody come along with me on my adventures, and then I promise we will get right into questions. Keep sending those questions. So I've got my phone stopwatch ready to go. I'm going to open up my own live stream and hopefully not get any feedback. Hey, Emma Muzu, good to see you here. Tell me how I'm doing with your name. Emma Muzo, is that right? How would you say it? I want to get this right. let's see if I can open up. Well, anyway, we will test this at some point. I'm still trying to open up. Here we go, my live YouTube feed. So I'm going to start my timer, and then I'm going to watch my own YouTube feed, and I'm going to tell you guys, gals, and other, how long the delay is. Because someone in the Slack channel was saying it could be as short as 2 seconds. I don't know if I believe that. But let's do it. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. I'm waiting to see myself hold this up in my own YouTube channel. And let's see how long it takes me. And stop. 14 seconds. That's not bad. I'm happy with that. I used to clock it at 20 to 30 seconds. 14 seconds is even better. It's about 13 and a half seconds. Almost there. Emamuzu. Emamuzu. Did I get that? Is that better? Emamuzu. If I pronounce your name wrong, which I do with everybody, please correct me. So, yeah, Kayleen says Twitch can be better for long streams where people ramble and play games. Ads interrupt, but you don't miss too much. Okay. Emamuzo. I'm going to do my best on that one. All right, so let's jump into questions. We already have some questions. And keep those questions coming. And let's check if we have other questions. Okay, so we've got 2 questions so far, and keep them coming. And all right, let's open up all my windows. Okay, here we go. Someone sent in a question earlier today through the anonymous link above my head, deltacx.link/ask. And it says, how to handle working in sprints as a UX designer. My team never has time for discussions, which is not included in the current sprint, but I need to discuss and plan the whole flow to ship the successful products. Okay, so it sounds like you're looking for more opportunities to collaborate with people and work on the plan. Now, it sounds like you're trying to plan from maybe UX all the way through shipping. So again, I always wish some of these people would ask sometimes in chat so I can ask follow-up questions because I don't know who asked this. But I think if nobody has time to talk to you about your plan, that's kind of a lie. It doesn't make sense for all of them to have time to talk to each other and have their meetings and catch each other in Slack and whatever everybody does, walk over to desks. But magically, nobody has time to talk to you about your plan. So to me, this sounds a little bit artificial. And I'm sure it's easy to look busy, but I think that sometimes you need a manager to help you out to say, I really want to be planning with these people, but I'm not included. Also, when they hold their sprint planning meeting, you should be asking for, hey, I want 5 minutes of this meeting to talk about my plan. It's not just engineering's plan, it's my plan as well. Also, if you're looking to plan the flow of shipping the products, a good person to partner with could be the product manager. If you have a product manager and it's not you, see if you can collaborate with that person, because even if you can't get the whole team and get engineering involved, you still might be able to coordinate this with the product manager. Maybe that one person can make time for you for these planning meetings, and you can then move forward with that. So hopefully that helps. If you have a follow-up question, let me know. I will do my best to watch the emails coming in today and check for the follow-up questions. I see a message coming in now from Ben. And Ben, you will be third on the question list. We already have somebody before you, but give me a moment to load up Ben's question as well. We'll get it on the list. Here we go. Okay, Ben, I see your question, and let me put it on the list. And before that, we have Unnamed Human who asked a question. And this question says, I'm reading about the difference between the product team and the UX team. And honestly, it sounds quite similar to me. What is something that product does that UX shouldn't be doing? Now, that's cool. We did a broadcast on a live stream podcast last year with 2 product managers to talk about what product managers do and how they could or should collaborate with UX. That might be a good one to catch up on. I will say that I think that product management probably feels very natural to UX and feels... Oh, Tango says, I can't find you on Twitch. Tango, don't bother. I like that you're on YouTube, and I'm going to be phasing out Twitch. So don't bother. In fact, let me take this off the screen. So I think in many cases, if UX learned some things about product management, we might be a natural fit to it because many of us are very organized. Many of us are looking to build the best plan for a successful product that has a high customer value. These are things product is supposed to be doing. One core thing that product managers normally do, and again, I've done a little bit of product management, but it's not my specialty. So product managers, shoot at me and correct this. But one thing is they usually do the product roadmap. And so they will plan and prioritize the product roadmap that could be UX, but it might not be UX. So I would say that's one thing that sometimes product managers do, where I'm happy to let them do that as long as I can be a collaborator. As long as they are either, if I trust them to shepherd customer value, that's great. Do it mostly without me. If this is a product manager who's not always the best at shepherding customer value, and sometimes they're going a little bit more for business goals, then I would want to be a little bit more involved so that I can make sure that we're really going for the customer value. So I think the difference is that the difference might be the other way. I think there's a lot about product where it sounds like, we should be able to do that. But if you dig into something like PMI, the Product Management Institute, and look at some of their training, you may or may not feel like, oh, I could do that. And we don't necessarily want to give that vibe off because we hate when people look at what we do and go, oh yeah, I could do that. So there's always more complexities to these jobs than we usually understand. So dig a little bit more in product management. Sorry, I'm not the big expert here, but I always hope that a product manager is not going to try to research, do information architecture, do interaction design, test stuff. I always hope they will leave that to us. And I always hope that we can leave their stuff to them and just be collaborators. So I hope that helps a little bit. I know it seems like product, why aren't we doing that? Or why aren't we a part of that? In general, I think UX can be a good part of the product team, but I would also much rather where CX or UX is its own branch of the organization with its own chief experience officer who is not the chief product officer, only because sometimes the chief product officer has different goals and objectives than sometimes we do as the experienced people. So that is my suggestion there. I hope that helps. Please ask follow-up questions where follow-up questions are needed. Destiny, I see your question coming in, so let me copy and paste that. And I apologize if I said your name, but if you put your name, I'm going to say your name. So if you want to be anonymous, put human, anonymous, nobody, whatever. So there you go. So let's get these ready for action. So next question would be, what's your take on prioritization frameworks? I think we talked about this one recently. I feel like that was very recent. So for prioritization frameworks, there are a bunch of them. So first of all, in general, they're good. I am not that familiar with that many of them. I've seen ones that focused more on how urgent is the issue, then we prioritize that. Some are a little more focused on how many people does it affect. Some might be more focused on the business side. Some are more focused on technical feasibility. Like if this is easier or harder for engineering to do, then maybe it moves up the chain. I think Larry Marine does a version, and I apologize if I get this wrong. So Larry, if you're here, correct me. I don't know if he's here. Larry, I think, does a version of prioritization framework where he has someone representing UX, someone representing, I think, product, and someone representing IT, engineering, or technology to each try prioritizing each of these items or tasks or features or concepts. And then you kind of come up with a score across the three people. And I guess you average that and you can try to figure out across some of the three key pillars of the universe, UX and product and engineering, how high or low priority does anybody think this is? For me, I invented my own prioritization matrix because I just felt like there were things missing from some of these, even though I can't complain too much about Larry's. It's a good way to collaborate with others and get their take on the priority. I have what's called the Delta CX decision matrix. And basically, I am looking at four things. And last time I couldn't remember them. Do you guys remember? It was SNUC. And S didn't stand for what I thought it would be because my mnemonic is a decision snuck up on you. S was how much does this item, task, feature, whatever, relate to our strategy? Is this highly connected to our strategy, or is this an ego project that somebody's trying to spin up? Score it. N is the number of users affected. This is probably higher priority if it affects a lot of people versus being an edge case, though I still would want to see edge cases taken care of. U would be urgency. Is this time sensitive in some way? Like new laws are coming out or things like that. So is there some reason that this is urgent? That could certainly raise the priority of it. And then my fourth one, which I haven't seen in other prioritization matrix, so I thought it was helpful, is cost to reverse. If we got this decision wrong, what would it cost us to have to fix this or undo this? And I know that's hard to estimate. Maybe somebody can just generalize it like, oh my God, it would be months of work we would have to redo if we got this wrong. So maybe it's not even a money number. Maybe it's just a concept of yikes, because you're scoring on 0 to 5 in my system. Like, wow, this would be a lot of time and money to have to undo or fix versus, this would be cheap and easy to undo and redo. So prioritization framework's great. Pick one. You don't like it? Try another one. I think they're all good for all different reasons, and I'm glad you're thinking about prioritization matrix. The YouTube chat got a little quiet. Am I still live? Does anybody have any thoughts or questions? We do have our next question, and let's see. I am a UX island at my company. I know you hate workshops. I do. But I just conducted 5 unmoderated tests. I need help sharing the wealth in terms of how many users experience our product pages. I'm designing an affinity map exercise with my test notes and recording. What's the best way to tackle this? So if your question, thanks Julia B. So if your question is, there are 5 recordings of tests and you're wondering if your teammates see something you missed, you can always share the videos with them, ask them to take some notes about it, and either just give them to you, or if you like the workshop idea, you can call an hour meeting and have people post them, or make a mural board and tell everybody, put up your notes about what you heard from these 5 tests. It doesn't have to be a traditional workshop. Sometimes it's just a meeting, and sometimes it's just a, hey, everybody go see my mural board and add your notes. If you mean a workshop, yeah, I think that's what you mean. I think you're here. Destiny, am I coming close to what you were looking for? I know there's a 14-second delay. Am I coming close to what you were hoping I would answer, or am I way, way, way off? And I see something coming in from Nadine, and I see M324 as well. So I'll get all these questions on the list while I wait to hear if Destiny says I am headed in the right direction with her question. Nadine, I see your question. Nadine is a brave person with an AOL email address. So Destiny, is that the kind of thing you were looking for? I hope you're still here. Meanwhile, while I wait to hear from her, let's put up a quick comment from Elijah, who says, "That's pretty awesome. That cost to reverse is something I hear from Thinking Fast and Slow, which I have not read. I think that's where I heard it from. Maybe I didn't read it. I originally started with the Eisenhower decision matrix. So when I wrote my book and I wanted to create a framework, I actually started with the Eisenhower decision matrix and I adjusted it to what I thought it should be. So I did not read that. Is this decision reversible as a binary thing?" Thanks, Elijah. Destiny says, I mean, as a team, we're going to do an affinity map with the test finding. You can, but just remember, if somebody puts up garbage stuff up there, you have to kind of sweep it away when they're not looking. So yes, you can definitely do the affinity map by yourself. If you're wondering, are other people going to hear something I'm missing? And or would it help my team for them to see these test videos so that they know stuff sucks or how important it is to do good UX or all those things? You can definitely share your video recordings of the unmoderated tests with the team, put them on a shared drive somewhere, tell everybody to go there, and then maybe just put up a mural board, or if you use Miro, whichever you use, and have people add their notes to it. And just make a rule, like your notes are yellow and their notes are blue, and that way you can figure out later who's what. But there you go. Someone says, "I love this book." I assume you mean Thinking Fast and Slow. AOL, I know. Remember AOL? So Destiny, I hope that helps, but keep the follow-up questions coming if you have any, and I'll see if I can help you out more. But remember, whether you do a workshop or a meeting or whatever, just make sure you retain control and you have a plan and you have an agenda and you are running this and you know, keep your power. Next, we have Nadine. I see we have an anonymous question coming in. So, Anonymous, I will add you to the list. And let's see what Nadine has to say, which came in secretly, so I'm not putting it up on the screen. It says, "How should we deal with the fact that our product managers like to skip the problem space analysis and not provide the UX designer with enough information for a good job, or even develop first drafts and prove this as a basis?" Yeah, I mean, in a way, isn't that really what my entire channel is about? It's what my book is about. It's what most of my conference talks are about. It is a huge problem. Companies think that we don't have to really explore the problem, and that's a hub and spoke. Part of that is, we're all designers, and part of that is, we'll figure out later if people like stuff. And so there's a lot of things going wrong here. And what I try to do with companies like that, other than leave them, is to start documenting the risks. Chances are, if you've worked at this company long enough, you've seen a product fail or a feature. You've seen a feature go out and you've seen it be wrong for customers or not really what they needed, or something that generates complaints and problems. I see another question coming in. Just want to make sure people know I am paying attention this time. This one was about product design strategy, so I see you. So I would say that it is very hard, because what you're really talking about is, how do I make my company actually give a crap about the customer's experience and stop guessing at it? That's hard. Right now, guesses are being glorified. Guesses are glorified by design thinking, certain definitions of it. Guesses are highly glorified by design sprints, and guesses are basically the core of lean UX. So I believe that over time, there's going to be a reckoning and a correction, and we will get away from all of this guessing when people do more documenting of what's going wrong. The documentation of what could go wrong if this is the wrong thing for customers, that it's going to cause complaints, it's going to cause support tickets, it's going to cause us to have to pause a project to redo this one or fix this one. It's going to cause us extra time to figure out what we did wrong and do it over again. So I think there are ways to try to convince people that they are not agile and not lean when they are just releasing guesses to the public and trying to figure out later if they're good. A lot of that came also from Lean Startup, because Lean Startup assumed you're a tiny startup with not much to lose. Just build your stuff, get it out there, and see what people think. They assumed you didn't have a UX team who could prototype. So people have accidentally adopted these startup things that really don't make sense for most of our teams. And I think we're not going to see that go away until more people are calculating the costs of these failures and struggles. So I don't have like a great short answer there. It's going to be a process of more of us standing up, speaking out, and saying, hey, remember when that feature failed because we guessed at what to make for our customers and we were wrong? How about we stop guessing? That's high risk, financial risk, reputation risk, sales risk, customer retention risk. Someone has to start saying these things out loud and trying to inspire people to calculate the internal and external costs of these problems. So yay from Charlene. I was going to ask you how your new job is going. Congrats to Charlene for the new job. And she says, I had an amazing time today at my new workplace. The lead designer I'm working with said, we're not here to just listen and do the job, but suggest and use our skills and help the clients. Yes, that certainly makes my heart sing. That would be great. Sounds pretty good. That would be neat. So hope the new job stays new and fresh and good. And Kayleen's got a sort of question in the YouTube chat. I'm going to add that to the bottom of the list. So I see you there. So let's see. Did I miss any other comments? I think I'm up to the comments. And did I miss any emails? No. Okay, so I've got all the video asks. And remember, if you have a question, add it to the chat room. I might say your name. If you want to be anonymous, you can go to deltacx.link/ask and be anonymous or not anonymous. But if I see your name, I'm saying it. So, don't put a name if you don't want to be known. And just a reminder that I am phasing out Twitch. Twitch was a failed experiment. Thanks to all of you who joined me on Twitch. We did have some fun there, but I'm going to be working the next week or so on building the same fun into YouTube. Let's face it, fun is fun. And we can have that same fun on YouTube. I'm already working on custom emoji with Deanna the dog and Don Norman and other fun stuff. And I'm working on some subscriptions. YouTube has paid subscriptions, so you won't miss anything if you don't pay, but I will build something for paid subscribers. And so we will phase out Twitch over the next week. So please subscribe here on YouTube and empathize with the like button and let the YouTube algorithm know we're having a good time. Destiny says long. Oh, good insight. Let's stop guessing because research takes too long. Yeah, exactly. It's so ridiculous. I always say to people, would you want your doctor rushing in to guess at what's wrong with you and treating you for something that might not even be the problem? You want your doctor to research, run tests, make sure we're going in the right direction. Same is true for what we do, yet people think it can be skimped and they still don't understand it. So there's a lot for us to battle. Okay, so next question. For 2.5 years, I worked on a reorganization project for a huge major website. We used qualitative and quantitative research to identify missing content, justify areas of content that should stay, and rework the future IA and dev planning. Now, someone's trying to rework IA based on no data, and I feel it's a terrible decision. How should I approach this person who has slightly more authority than myself and stop this from going into motion? Okay, so there's a few things that you can do here. Number one, sorry, this is happening. Number two, I would say if this isn't your manager, talk to your manager. See if your manager has some strategies for this. When I've seen parallel situations, but not identical situations for myself, I did go to my manager because somebody should know someone is doing this. So if it is your manager, that's a little tougher. If it's not your manager, then say, hey, remember that 2.5-year project we did where we really improved the IA? Well, now someone, you know who, is just going to guess at the IA. The other thing that I would do is work with project managers, product managers, program managers, engineers, marketing, whoever you can get your hands on, to make sure that there's going to be success criteria if this person's project goes through, and KPIs. And it should be released as an A/B test. So see if 90% of people can see your current IA, maybe with just some updates if there are new things coming, and 10% of people see this person's IA. Then, of course, create tasks and funnels and flows and metrics that can be measured. And then you'll be able to say, after X number of weeks of this person's IA being the B variant in an A/B test, did it help people accomplish what they were trying to do? Did we have fewer support requests? Did we have less time on the site because people are getting things done more efficiently? Remember, sometimes less time on the site is the metric you're looking for, not more time on a page. You want them to get their stuff done. So I would say make sure you have some things you can measure and work with managers and other teammates outside of UX to see if you can, if this person's project goes through, and I'd probably try to stop it, but if it went through, make sure it's got it's not going to 100% of people. It's going to a small slice of people first as an A/B test so that we can make sure it is an improvement. And just remind your company of the risk of putting something out there that's not an improvement. So it's best to run it as an experiment first or an A/B test first. That would be my suggestion. Nomen nominandum, the name of the name, has a question, and I will add that to the bottom. And what just came in? Crap. So, not questions. Ignore. All right, next one. Do you know of any resources to learn more about I think someone asked at one point books. Someone asked what books I recommend. I am not the greatest book person. That was M324. Sorry about that. What books do I recommend? I am bad at this. But Darren Hood has a giant list of books on the interwebs. Usually Kayleen has that link handier than I do. And I even made a short URL for it, and I forgot what my own short URL is. So I'm just having an off day. But I think if you can Google like Darren Hood UX books, it'll probably come up. The Google is good about these things. Darren's here. Darren, what the heck? You probably can't put a URL in YouTube. YouTube usually kills those. But if you can like write it in a sneaky way, like something DOT space COM, maybe it won't figure it out. Yeah, Kayleen's got it bookmarked. I made a short thing to it and I forgot. So, okay, do you know of any resources to learn more about product design strategy? Well, it depends what you mean by strategy. I see strategy as being at the team level, at the department level, at the project, the project level, the team level, the department level, and the company level. My book is very much about strategy, the Delta CX book. Ta-da! I wonder if Jason got his book. Because Shannon got her book. My book is very much about strategy. I would recommend it. It's $12 on Kindle, so it's an easy buy. Product strategy. Let's ask Darren. Darren, do you have any suggestions, resources on product design strategy? I don't see a lot about that. So let's see what we can find out from our fantastic audience. Kayleen said, I'd like more tips on how to confront people on their contributions not being up to standard in a respectful way. That's hard. It's a great question. It also depends, I think, on your role. If you are their manager, mentor, overseer, then it's totally okay to tell people, give them the tough love and say in some gentle way that I was looking for this in your work and I didn't see that, or I didn't see as much of that as I'd hoped. Now, that, of course, assumes that at some point before that, you have communicated clearly what you expect. You don't want to be that person who didn't really communicate what they wanted and then surprise people later by saying that wasn't up to standard. So we have to make sure that, first of all, does the other person know what the standard is? Your standard might not be the same as someone else's standard. So we're going to have to take a closer look at that. But if the standard is known, and if you are in a more managerial, mentoring, or overseeing spot, then yes, I think you have the right to poke at that person and find gentle, supportive ways to say this work could be better. Those of you who have coaching with me know that I try to give the tough love, and not in a way where you're going to feel broken, but in a way where you're going to feel disappointed at first, but then happy that you got good information. That's the way to go. You can also watch our episode in the live stream podcast series on resilience. That guest we had really helped me rethink giving feedback in a little bit more kinder way. Not that I was giving unkind feedback, but I think it was people are taking my same feedback now better because I've changed how we give it. If you are not this person's manager, you technically might not be someone who can say your work's not up to standard. That's typically where I bring in my manager. And that way it's not me versus that person. It's like, hey, manager, this person's supposed to do this. I don't think they're doing it very well. How should this be handled? Is it something you can handle? So typically that has to come from that person's manager or through other channels. So remember, it's not your job to police everybody's abilities to do everything. Sometimes we just have to bring in the manager. You know, I feel like I say that a lot in these shows, but it's okay to bring in your manager. They're supposed to support you and help you, and you're not supposed to do everything yourself, and you can't change an organization yourself. You need your leadership. That's why we need good leadership, and we don't always have it. Let's see what other questions we have coming in. This is still Office Hours Ask Me Anything, and I am broadcasting live. Darren Hood says if you're looking for his book list, Google Darren Hood's Living, Breathing Book Recommendations List. It's like Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. That's a little bit long there. And Darren also said, I feel the same way. It depends on what the person's mean. I have a strategy. What the person means, I have a strategy video on YouTube on the UX Uncensored channel. Super. Everybody on YouTube, go follow the Darren over at UX Uncensored. Super. So let's see. I think we have another question here. How can you reduce, was this a question here? Oh yeah, here it is. Noman, let's see. Put it up. How can you reduce the way in the company to the user? I think we're missing some words here. Can you rephrase this question? How can you reduce the way in the company to the user? First steps, our customers often only have contact at the project level. I'm sorry, but I don't understand this question, and I'm hoping that you can rephrase it and try again. And then we will try to answer it. I am technically caught up. So while I wait for more questions and for explanations of questions, let's do another YouTube timing thing, and let's see how long the delay is while I wait for you guys and gals and other to ask questions. Let's see, let's turn on the YouTube again. It says 13 people watching now. Hello, 13 people. 3, 2, 1, start. .37 seconds. That's pretty good. That is definitely better than the 20 or 30 that this used to be. So good news that YouTube has a much shorter delay, which makes me even happier about my today's decision to refocus on the YouTube. While Noman works on a new phrasing of that question, let's get VJ's question. And VJ, just a quick note, we are going to be phasing out Twitch. So thank you so much for coming over to Twitch. Please go back to YouTube. Sorry about that. Same for you, M324. And Julie's got a question that I will tack on the end as well. Oh, someone had a question before that one and I missed it. Here it is. VJ's question. What, according to you, I'm sorry, I didn't see this before. No, that is a question. What, according to you, is the shelf life, I'm sorry, I didn't see it before, is shelf life of UX skills? How often should designers recalibrate themselves? So I think that the best CX and UX practitioners are always learning and always looking for new information, watching new YouTube videos, attending conferences, reading books, which I don't do enough of, going to talks and meetups. I think you can never stop learning. As for the shelf life of skills, there are some things that are a little bit eternal. I mean, I'm not sure how much information architecture has changed in the last 20 years. It's not a very, UX isn't very trendy. Visual design can be very trendy, but in general, UX is, we're always shooting for a lot of the same things, and we're using our time-tested methods. So I would say pretend the shelf life of your skills is short. Always keep learning and pursuing other angles. And I think if you do that, you will constantly recalibrate, and that will be a beautiful thing. And Darren says, yes, it's a lifelong commitment. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got to work with Larry Marine in the last year. I learned a lot from him. I know if I ever work with Darren, I'll learn from him. So, and I'm old and grizzled. So, I never assume that I know everything. I never assume that I'm done learning. I think if you have UX and CX in your blood, you're always looking to keep improving yourself, improving products, improving experiences. So there you go. VJ says, thanks for your comments. These confirm my current personal strategy. See you on YouTube. Thanks, VJ. I'll phase out Twitch after Monday, so we'll just have Twitch broadcasts for the next week, and then I'll probably shut them down due to all the things I said at the beginning. Noman, let me know if you've got a rephrase of your question so that I can answer that. Julia had a question, and I can put it up on the screen because my YouTube screen stuff is working today. Julia says, have you ever had experience working with a UX producer? Once. In 2012, I was a contractor at Wells Fargo in San Francisco, and there was somebody on my team who was a UX producer. I think he still does that, but he's at fancier companies. I didn't fully understand what he did other than it looked like project management. If I apologize to UX producers out there, if you're here, will you please tell me what you do? But I was always under the impression that a UX producer was a sort of project manager. Darren, can you help me on this one? And Charlene agrees, it's a never-ending learning process, so much to learn. I had no idea there are more than 100 ways of doing research. Got that from Darren's podcast. Yep. Maggie says, cos'è un UX producer? Yeah, what is a UX? I'm not totally sure. I thought it was a bit of a project manager, but I would like a UX producer to tell me what a UX producer is. Is that asking too much? Let's see. It looks like I don't have any questions coming in that I haven't answered, so we're actually on time today. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and usability test the bell so that you'll get notified when things are live. Slack channel membership is still totally free. deltacx.link/join Slack. Empathize with the like button. Help me out in the YouTube algorithm where stuff like that counts. And also, if you'd like to donate to the channel, which is totally optional, but I have turned off all the ads. If you see ads on YouTube, tell me because I've turned them off. We've got the tip jar, or you can use the super chats and the super stickers in YouTube. I get 70% of whatever money you donate. YouTube keeps 30%, which is less than Twitch keeps. So I do appreciate it. Let's see. Darren's answer to UX producer is ha 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 and ha. Kayleen says, is UX a music genre? I don't know. Let's get Destiny's question on the board, and then we'll get back to Noman. And Noman, if I know who you are in real life, let me know. I always like to try to match up online names with real people names, especially if you're in the Slack channel. Okay. Copying and pasting Noman's question. Give me a moment, because all of your questions end up in the description on YouTube. So, let's get everybody's. Delta CX is the best place to buy your book on Amazon. Yes. Please do. If you are buying the book, Amazon is best because you can get it as Kindle, which is just Amazon, and you can get it as a paperback if you like trees. All right, so let's start with Destiny's question. Let me find it. Here we go. Do you have experience telling stakeholders, hey, the thing we built doesn't work? How can you make that blow softer? What is your experience, especially after being rushed to build the thing without research? Mm. Um, well, I guess my first question would be, are you the only one who noticed it doesn't work? Or have the customers noticed? Have your teammates noticed? Is this a secret, or is it a bit of a well-known fact internally or externally that this thing doesn't work? The answer will depend on that. If people know that this thing doesn't work, then you're not telling them it doesn't work. You should be coming up with a plan of how we do this right next time, and we mitigate that risk by doing better qualitative research upfront with real users and customers so that we have a better idea of the right thing to build the first time. Remind them we're not agile and lean. If we are building guesses, releasing them, and then having to support them, fix them, undo them, etc. Hello, unpronounceable person in Twitch. If you just joined, I'm going to be phasing out Twitch, so don't forget to come back to YouTube. But I'm putting your question at the bottom of the list. So Destiny, I hope that helps. You shouldn't be the one who has to lower the blow on people. I would assume that other people have noticed this doesn't work. You might need to get some information from customer support, and remember, it can soften it by sounding like it's not your opinion or assessment. Hey everybody, I called this short meeting to say that I got all this pile of information from customer support. They said tickets and complaints are going way up about that thing we released, and it just seems like it's not right. It's not working for customers. They're confused about it. They're frustrated by it. Customer support estimates that 40% of their tickets this month were just about that thing. I think we really need to stop and fix it. And if we believe in being agile or lean, we should take a look at what led us to release something that was kind of flawed. We should have seen that coming. So I might start with something like that. See if you can find some sort of documentation or numbers that come from not you, so that it's not just your opinion that this thing isn't working. How do we know this thing isn't working? Make it look like that thing has really shown us that this isn't working. Destiny says that helps. Okay, thanks. Darren also says, shouldn't we identify how we're going to measure success up front and review later? That's also true, Destiny. I know some of these things have snuck through at your job before you were able to completely wrangle them, and that you've got more work than you should probably be handling. You need a team there. But Darren's also right that a lot of this can be mitigated, and it wouldn't have to come from you if we said, hey, remember when we all agreed that we would know if this is successful if it lowered customer support questions by 5%. Well, they've gone up by 10. Hey, looks like we didn't do this right. This isn't the right thing. So thank you, Darren, for reminding us of that. Let's get to what Noman is saying, and I'll see if I can put this up on the screen. And Noman says, For us as UX designers, it's incredibly difficult to get in touch with customers, let alone users. Often, only project managers from both sides speak to one another. For design and developers, it means that the information you receive has already been changed by several filters and the problem is no longer known. How could we start to change that process? Well, first of all, great. I hope you'll have the power to change that process. It might be something you have to work on with your manager. Again, because very often I don't expect people who are associate, junior, mid-level, sometimes even senior to change company process. Very often companies love their process and they cling to it. And when you show up as a change agent and you start chipping away at it, culture gets funky. So I would say, Kayleen says, secretly find customers to observe anyway. And that's kind of an interesting point, because the question is, who is stopping you? And why are you being stopped? And can your manager help you break through that? And again, go back to everything else you hear me say week after week. Remind people of the risk that our company runs into when we assume and guess. We think we know who customers are. We think we know what they're doing. We think we know what they want. We'll just build this and put it out there. Super, super high risk for time, for money, for morale, for customer support, for customer trust, for customer retention. So I would say you probably need manager help to help you start to create plans that include research. But that means working with project managers and other people, program managers, whatever your company calls them, so that as projects are possibly coming down the highway, that someone has made time for UX research to even happen. If we don't hear about the project until the kickoff meeting, now it's too late to do research. Engineers are waiting for the thing to build. We've got to make sure we are included in the planning so that we can estimate our time and be able to say, hey, before engineers get started, we need to do a 4-week research project, and then we'll start putting stuff in the backlog, and then we'll sprint along with you. So I think you're going to need some help from a manager. And I think you might, depending upon you or your manager, you might need to document the potential risk of the telephone game, of information coming from secondary, tertiary sources, of essentially guesses. We're guessing what people want, and that we don't want to rely on luck. We don't want to rely on, was our guess right? Ooh, I hope we're lucky. We don't want to be lucky. We want to do this right with our good friends, Science and Technique. Noman, I hope that helps. Let me know if you have a follow-up question to that, since I'm still here some more minutes, and I hope to help. What did Joe post earlier on LinkedIn, Wilson? I assume you're going to paste something or type something. Wilson is saying something. Meanwhile, let's answer another question that came through that said, what is your opinion on false or real differences between product design and UX design? Well, of course, my HR training is going to cover these things. Yeah, sorry, Wilson, only 200 characters. Whatever you're pasting, you'll have to do in small bits. So I think that product design and UX design are both super misunderstood and super strange. There's what UX design and product design should mean, and there's what they do mean. So that's why I'm trying to have my HR training clean that up a little bit. You can also find in the live stream podcasts playlist, there's an episode on what I think titles should be. So there's also that. So I think the question is, why do we care about product design versus UX design? What I have found is that most people who are product designers, not all, but many people who are product designers come from a visual design background and like to make wireframes. But they usually don't have a more thorough UX process. They usually haven't studied cognitive psychology or any of the behavioral things that we tend to try to know more about when we are doing our user-centered design process. That's not always, but it's often. People who call themselves UX designers run the gamut. It could be anything. It could be Darren saying he's a UX designer, in which case we totally trust him. And it could be a visual designer who likes to make wireframes, who hasn't studied cognitive psychology, who calls themselves a UX designer. I've seen people who did a little bit of web design on a web page that had nothing to do with UX. No users were harmed in the making of this web page, and they said, I'm a UX designer. So ultimately, I think all of these are poor titles. They're not clear, and it's not about what are the differences between them. It's about they both stink. Let's see. Let's see. Kayleen has a related question, and then we'll get to M324's question, and then Wilson is pasting a bunch of stuff. So let's get there. Kayleen's follow-up question was, what's the difference between the product team and the UX team? I think we talked about that earlier. Product designer, UX designer, terminology confuses me. So first of all, product designers are on the UX team. They're not on the product team. The product team are typically product managers, and they are typically people who are looking at the roadmap for the product. What is this product going to be in the near future and in the long-term future? What are our priorities? What are we going to do first with this product? What are we going to do second? How many teams do we need to attack this? Sometimes they're also the project manager, sometimes not. So, and Darren says lots of product designers are just order takers too. Very true. So I would say, Kayleen, don't worry too much about trying to make sense of these terms. A lot of them don't make sense. I can't make sense of them. Darren probably can't make sense of them. All these terms mean the same thing and different things at the same time. It's almost up there with design thinking. So I would say, don't worry about that. Someone is asking a question, which I'll put at the end, because next we have M324, who says, I missed a bit, so this might have already come up. What are your thoughts on using customer forums and product reviews as a research source? I think they can be good as long as we make sure, number one, that we are clear that it is secondary research. This is stuff we Googled. These are not people we talked to. So don't make it sound like you talked to those people. Make sure you're clear that this is something that you Googled or looked up or read about or whatever. So make sure you're clear it's secondary research. Number two, hopefully you're also doing good primary and qualitative research as well, and that it's not just secondary research. But I would say customer forums, product reviews can be good. But remember, the downside to that is very often you've got something in your mind and you're searching for it, and you're searching sometimes on purpose, sometimes accidentally, for things that confirm what you're thinking. Like if you want to find out on forums, are people having a problem using the Twitch app? You're going to find problems of people using the Twitch app. But were you looking for people who are happy with the Twitch app? So you will definitely find what you're looking for. So just kind of try to be mindful of your own biases, and just remember that you might be looking for something where the opposite is also true, and just determine based on what you're looking for if you need to search for the opposite as well to have a more complete package of stuff. Unpronounceable Tybalt says, a few months ago I was thinking there is no subject, but more recently I see product world as a parallel world where people discover user research and call it product discovery. 2001 is meeting 2021. Yeah, I do think that we are going to come back to the old school ways of doing UX and CX, and maybe some things will have some new names on them, but they're going to be the same old gal in a new dress, and that people are going to realize that the shortcuts and the skimping on things that was design sprints and design thinking and lean UX and workshops and shortcuts, I think they're going to realize that that didn't work. You know, all these companies fired their R&D teams, and then they said, oh, we don't need to do research. Yeah, guess what? You do. So hopefully that will come back as well. We did get an exceedingly random question from somebody I don't recognize who wants to know how many boyfriends I've had. Hey, how do you like that question? You want to make a guest appearance? I've got the green hoodie over there if you want to do cloak of invisibility. Yeah. I would say the number of boyfriends I had is not as relevant as the boyfriend I have now, who Dr. Nick reminds me to say is my fiance because we are getting married next year. So remember, it's not quantity, it's quality. And I have finally found quality. He's that guy over there. I can see him from here. You guys can't. So he's behind my desk. But I see him, the top of his head. He's got a nice top of head. Yes. You have a head. I know. That Todd Rundgren, 1973, has a song called You Need Your Head. That's the one that was in like 13 or 15. It's like a measure of 7 and then a measure of 8. So everybody, You Need Your Head by Todd Rundgren. Emmy says, oh, that was the most wholesome possible response. Thank you. Yeah, it doesn't, I'm old. I've had boyfriends. Doesn't matter. Only the one I've got now matters, and he's the last one, so that's it. Let's see. Wilson's been writing all kinds of stuff. I'm gonna have to scroll back and try to wrangle this. And people are sending. Sorry, we got a secret one. Private secret question. Let me see. Okay, private secret question. Then I will try to read all of Wilson's musings. Send help. My manager is still doing IC work sometimes. Manages 9 of us, and now we're hiring 3 more people, but no new managers. I feel a question in there, but I also know there isn't a lot that I can do with that. My manager is doing work. So is your manager doing work because you're short on people, or is your manager doing work because they are a helicopter and they want to be involved in the things? If you hire 3 more people and the manager is still doing work, I guess it depends on your relationship with them. I'd probably be like, why are you doing the work? You're the manager. We need you to manage. And now you're managing 12 people. Like we need you to manage, what, or, there's also the gentle thing that I've said to some managers, which is, and assuming you have time to do this, which is what can I do to take some work off your plate? Now you might say, Deb, I don't have time. I can't take work off this person's plate. And I say, okay, I get it. But maybe you ask the question another way. Hey, you're managing 12 people, but you're still doing the work sometimes. Could you, just to help you with your own balance, can you give some of that work to the new people? So I don't know how to stop a manager from doing work. I always imagine if I ever managed, I would not do work, but I might be like, I love work, I miss work. So who knows? Let's try to roll back and see if we can capture what Wilson was shooting for. Wilson was trying to recreate something that Joe Natoli had posted to LinkedIn. This should be interesting because I do run hot and cold on him. I like some things he said, and I've been against some things he said, and I'm sure he could say the same about me. So Wilson wrote, problem 1. The minute you decide it's your job to educate someone, you put yourself on a pedestal. You're up here because you know it all. They're down here because they don't, because they need to be educated. No matter how you do this, that is how it will land. Problem 2, no matter how well-intended you may be, no one in the room wants or is asking to be educated. This is not a class and you're not a teacher. This is a room full of people who need each other's ideas and expertise and help. You're not here to lecture anyone. You're also not here to inspire or entertain. You're here to inform and enlighten in a way that helps them see you give a shit about what they give a shit about. That's what's going to get them to pick up the oars and start rowing in the same direction you are. I think I saw that post and I ignored it. Wilson, do you have a question? I don't think I agree with him. And also, we're lacking the context. If you are walking into a meeting with a bunch of people at work and you're going, let me tell you about UX. Well, then from my talk that I do, Stop Evangelizing UX and What to Do Instead, I don't suggest that. Because people don't want to be sold something. However, oh God, Darren and Joe aren't buddies. But how do I take that? Here I am up on a pedestal answering your questions, and this quote is like, get off your pedestal. Well, hold on. We arrive to our companies as experts in our areas. The product manager is an expert in that. The DevOps engineer is an expert in that. The QA tester is an expert in that. If we needed to be educated by those people, I don't think we're automatically in some sort of master-servant position. I don't think that person who has the knowledge that I don't have, especially if they're willing to share some of it, is on a pedestal. That person is having a mentor or teaching moment, but this is not a worship moment. So I can't even tell what Joe's point is here. And this is one of those things where I say, is this meaningful, actionable, or helpful? I don't understand what I'm supposed to do or not do after hearing that quote from Joe. I'm not going to stop trying to help people. I'm not going to stop trying to teach people. And I don't want to be on a pedestal. I'm 5'4". I am just the same as all of you. I hope you will come meet me next year when it's safe. So Darren says he's describing condescension. Every educational experience is not condescending. It doesn't have to be. I had a very condescending biological mother, and I always felt like even when she had good information, I didn't want to hear it because there was so much condescension. And so I think that there's a way to try to teach people or be helpful or give advice that isn't condescending, but that's EQ. That's stuff we have to watch in ourselves. Oh, Kayleen says it's a promotion of his course on how to communicate. That's so funny. That's so funny. It undid itself. It's a promotion of how to communicate, and I couldn't figure out what it was communicating. Zwee! Shwee! Hello? Okay. What? What? So that was unclear communication, selling a course on communication. And not only that, but the way it was written to me came off as accusatory, came off as condescending, and came off as there is only one right way to do this. And that's when I remind all y'all, I know you haven't seen it in a while, but it's here. Put on your critical thinking hats. This never looks good on me. What do I need a different shaped head? Put on your critical thinking hats, please, and really, especially when someone has a course to sell you, put on that critical thinking hat and break down what they're saying line by line and say, is this the person I want to learn in communication? Is this person inspiring growth and resilience? Or does this person sound like a drill sergeant or accusatory or, what's the word I'm looking for? Inflammatory? Like they're going to generate conflict? Is this person an escalator of conflict or a de-escalator of conflict? And I feel like the tone of that post would talk me out of the course. Not sponsored. So yet another course that I won't recommend. And of course, Darren is no fan of Joe, and we know that. So there you go. So I'm running late, but I'm happy to take a few more questions. My next call is in about 20 minutes, but I can hang around a couple of extra minutes. Maggie says, I watch Debbie for the info. I stay for the roasting. Yeah. Wilson says, it's like trying to decipher Shakespeare. No, it isn't. Put your critical thinking hat on and you're going to see it right there. Boom. We're going to burn it down. And when I can add some fun stuff to YouTube, we're going to have more fun. Which reminds me, Supercomputer is supposed to come next week, which means I will finally build in stuff and I will hopefully see if there's a way to put like YouTube emoji or stuff on the screen. I don't know. That might have been a Twitch thing. Adieu, Twitch. But we'll figure it out and we will have the fun. Yeah, thanks, Maggie. So let me quickly remind everybody what's coming up on the channel because you know big stuff is coming. And it's not coming tomorrow. Tomorrow is our Slack channel monthly networking video meetup on AirMeet. You'll need to be in the Slack workspace, which is totally free to join, deltacx.link/join Slack. Join the live events channel in the Slack workspace to be reminded and to get the secret link to join our video networking. I think we had 11 or 12 people last time. So come meet each other. And then next week on Monday, we start the month-long adventure of the qualitative research thingy. It's going to be a series of micro lessons, and I'm going to be conducting observational research. We're going to start by planning the research together on Monday, which means you're involved. And then we're going to watch 7 people cook and interview them. Those are all going to happen on different days, and they'll be live here on the YouTube channel. So make sure you've subscribed. It's going to be all next week. Your bells are going to go off. And then after we do lots of watching people cook, which includes some friends of our show, Maggie, I think, is cooking. Randy Babst is going to cook. Joel Barr is going to cook. We've got friends of the show. Kayleen, are you cooking? I can't remember. I would have to look up who's cooking. Naz is cooking. Thanks to everybody who is cooking. And then after that, we're gonna do an affinity diagram together. What did we hear in these interviews? Where are the themes and the patterns? We're gonna do all this together. And then we'll do a Larry Marine task analysis and optimized task flow. So there's going to be monster stuff. You can always find the schedule at deltacx.link/events. That will take you to a Google Calendar that lists all of the events. And if you follow if you're in the live events channel in the Slack workspace, it will notify you 1 day before and 15 minutes before. Thank you, bot, for upcoming events. So let's see. Kayleen says, if there's time, I'd like to paste something I said earlier. I'm not sure Deb is leaving. Sorry, Kayleen, that I missed something you said. Can you please put it back? We're just getting... I just get a flood of comments, and I am a one-person show, so I miss stuff. Kayleen said, I heard a dog. Yeah, my dog was just shaking, so you might have heard, like, dog tag jiggling. I haven't left yet, so if you have something to add it now, because then I am leaving, and then you'll have to see me tomorrow at Slack Networking. Even though we're doing the month of micro lessons, we will still have office hours Ask Me Anything, and we're going to have some special guests. Next Tuesday is going to be Canadian broadcasting host Russell Bowers, who is a comedian, and he is going to get 15 seconds to answer your questions in an improv comedy way before I give you the real answer. That's next Tuesday, March 16. March 23rd, our office hours guest will be author and general research guy Steve Portugal. So very excited to have him. And then Larry Marine's doing one in April, and then Darren and Dr. Nick and I will be doing one monthly. So check the events. Kayleen says, if I don't practice exact wording before meetings or just visiting someone's desk, I find myself unable to decide what tone or phrasing to go with. I hope that gets better with practice. Yes, it can. But, so far I've spoken to you a few times on video. I think you communicate just fine. You type stuff here, I think it's just fine. So I would say it's good to be self-reflective, but don't judge yourself too harshly. Chances are the things you're saying might be coming out better than you imagine them. You might be judging them too harshly. I think there's nothing wrong with practicing things that you want to say. Practice them in your head, practice them out loud, make sure you're saying things the way you want. But I would say don't over worry about it unless you're finding there's a pattern where people say, gee, Kayleen, I really don't like the way you said that. Or gee, I couldn't tell what you meant by your tone of voice. If you find that you're getting feedback that says this is an area of improvement for you, then take a look at it. But if it's just you harshly judging yourself, be careful of that. Because like I said, we've had video calls and I've never walked away from a video call thinking that about you. You just said what you felt like saying and I thought it made sense. So there might not be a problem. Ta-da! All right. Now I gotta switch to Chloraseptic. British Chloraseptic. It evidently has way less toxic chemicals than American Chloraseptic. Kayleen says that feedback does happen occasionally. And it could be an age thing. I got lots of feedback that I wasn't always the best communicator when I was significantly younger than I am now. And just remember, it's going to be a part of maturity and improving, as Darren would say, your EQ. So you'll get there. I am going to take a breath before my next call, but thanks to everybody for coming over. Thanks again to all of you for joining me on the Twitch experiment, and I'm sorry it didn't completely work out. I really appreciate so many of you following there and some of you subscribing. Your money didn't go to waste over there, but I promise we'll put it to better use over on YouTube, where we've got the super chats, and I'll also be doing paid subscriptions, and I will find more ways to have fun. I'm also working on a way to set up a giveaway that we can do through YouTube. So we will still give away a ticket to the BAD conference. And if you've already entered, you're good. I'm just going to find a way to let YouTubers enter as well. Hey, Darren, good to see you. Thanks, Darren. All right, I'm going to play us out of here when I can find my button that says play us out of here. Another quick thing, because Maggie and some others complained about the temporary song I was using at the opening. That song is gone, and I am paying Mike Mills from Toe Hider to write us a theme song. So I'm hoping sometime over the next weeks we will get a theme song. That will be worth it. All right. Oh, thank you, Tybalt. Thanks for coming back over to YouTube. Thanks, everybody, and see you on Slack tomorrow and then live here again next week. Be safe, stay home, catch you soon. Delta CX, available for CX and UX consulting, projects, and training. Contact us for a free consultation.